What's going on, everyone? It's V back with another video, and in today's video we're going to talk about monotasking. We're going to talk about finding ways to get more shit done, okay? But before we get into the video, have you subscribed to my channel already? If not, please go and click that subscribe button. First, we're going to cover what is monotasking, and second, we're going to cover 5 tips to get into a monotasking mindset. So let's get into it. Monotasking is also known as single tasking, and that is basically setting aside a certain amount of time for a certain task, while minimizing potential interruptions until the task is completed or for a certain amount of time. The textbook definition of monotasking is a deep mindset where you really re-examine your definition and relationship with time, which is our most valuable asset. So monotasking and multitasking, we've definitely all heard of multitasking, which is the ability to split your focus into a bunch of different things. Do you know what the death of productivity is? Multitasking. I used to think that multitasking is super cool and you get a lot of things done, and I'm so great at doing a bunch of things at the same time, and women are naturally better multitaskers than men. Men are wired to have a bit more of a one-track mind and get that one task done and move on to the next task. So I'm really trying to implement monotasking into my life so that I can get more things done efficiently. And the definition of multitasking is not actually doing so many things at the same time. It's actually task switching, where your brain is rapidly switching tasks from one activity to another or one task to another. Task switching is the death of productivity. And even though task switching takes a fraction of a second, studies have shown that task switching and multitasking decrease productivity by 40%. And these task switching episodes are even when, down to the most mundane things like checking a text or while you're working, or a colleague walking by your desk, or nowadays calling you up out of nowhere while you're in the workflow, getting a phone call, checking an email, or having a notification go off and it makes a noise and you quickly acknowledge that noise and then go back to what you're doing. Those are task switching episodes, and those are the things that we want to eliminate. Since we cannot control everything that kind of enters our life, like a notification, or, well, you can kind of control that by shutting it off here and there, but that's exactly my point. The outside people and work and outside life, we cannot really control. So that's why we need to focus on what we can control and set times to put up a little wall for these monotasking moments or hours, and really eliminate outside distractions, since we can't do that all the time. We need to find times that we can do that. So step number 1 is finding your peak performance time. Are you a night owl? Are you better in the morning? Are you a morning person? Do you jive really well at noon when everyone else is on lunch and you can just go? When is the time that you function the best and have the highest levels of cognitive ability and self-awareness? Like, what time is that for you? We need to find that time so that we can allocate our monotasks during that time. And if you are not aware of when you perform best and when you are just like so on, you risk running these monotasks during a time where you are at your lowest or super tired, or, don't listen to what society says. 9 to 5 is work hours. Like, if that means like 10 p.m. at night is like when you fucking just go in and you are really on, that is your time. And if it's like 4 a.m., like I know some people that wake up before their kids, before any noise happens and any notifications can really come in because everyone's still sleeping, do that. Finding your peak performance time is step number 1. Step number 2 is learning how to do deep work. This is the work that we're talking about during the monotasking period. A lot of people, because we're so used to outside distractions and stimulation and just looking at so many things, TV's in the background and your phone and then your laptop and then an iPad, we're so used to all of this stimulation entering our lives that we don't have a really natural way of focusing in on something for more than 15-20 minutes, studies have proven. So learning how to do deep work in your peak potential time is what we want to be doing. So I would suggest each day setting aside, if it's 1 hour to start off, you know what, maybe that's too much. If it's half an hour to start off, even 15 minutes. I know that, like, even for me, when I first started monotasking, I had to put my phone in another room, and I had to like almost turn off my Wi-Fi on the computer because it is so easy to get distracted nowadays. So now I can do it like with my phone next to me, and I just turn it over and that's it, mute it, notifications off and whatnot. But start a little bit every day. If it's 15 minutes a day for a week, do a task with no distractions. Block everything out and do a task, and I'm telling you, you're gonna see such a huge difference in your productivity, and you're gonna wanna keep doing more. It is really, really interesting. We think it's really, really hard to block out these other outside distractions of social media and people, but once you start, it's kind of addicting, and you wanna keep doing it because you feel really good about yourself because you're being productive and getting shit done. So set some time aside, start little if it's feeling daunting, and work your way up from there. But deep work is step number 2. Okay, so number 3 is kind of a mixture of number 1 and 2, maybe a bit more too, but it's really eliminating the outside distractions. So I know I've already talked about it, but monotasking is less about what that one task is and doing that one task, but more about eliminating the outside distractions and then focusing on the task. So once you've eliminated the outside distractions, I would encourage you to ask yourself, what are 2 things that I could do today that will make me feel very productive, that I need to do, and that I'll feel good at the end of the day if I get those things done? Don't make yourself a list of 10 things and then feel discouraged at the end of the day when you only get like 3 done. Sometimes it takes a long time to do things, especially with distractions. So we need to eliminate those. Make yourself a list that's not going to discourage you at the end of the day. What are the 2 most important things that at the end of the day, if I get these done, I'm going to feel like a bad I'm going to feel really, really good about myself. By making a list of only 2 things, it makes you really focus on what's actually very, very important. I feel like a lot of us make these to-do lists that are like massive, and then we don't really know where to start, and then we don't get much of it done at all because there's so much to do. So making a list of 2 things is like, okay, what is really, really important? What is like, I need to get these done? Step number 4 is something that I don't know how to call it, but I guess it would be time blocking. There's monotasking and then there's time blocking. And in my head, time blocking is certain times for certain things, kind of like monotasking, but these are things that will be the same every day. We all have to answer emails every day. We all have to answer our phone. We have to answer texts and either post or respond on social media or whatever. So these are things that have to be done every day, and it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. Monotasks, the tasks change, I find, more often than not. There are more projects and larger pieces of work that will change, but these other things are kind of built into our day-to-day. And I find we are very responsive and reactive to those things rather than choosing times to go on those social media apps. Who do you know that is like,
oh, I only go on Instagram from 9 to 10, and I hit up Twitter from 11:30 to 12.
Nobody does that. Maybe I know one person who schedules their time on social media. If you are very active on social media, if you're an influencer, if it's part of your job or whatever, yes, you are on there a lot of the time. It's your job. But even at that, scheduling time to go on, to post, scheduling time to respond, this will help make you be really, really attentive to those people and what you're doing, because that is your time you've allocated for that. So it's almost like a mini version of monotasking, but on a daily basis, different times throughout the day, set times. So I like to kind of differentiate the two, monotasking and time blocking. You check your emails, not every day as it comes in. Turn off your notifications unless like you live off your email, and like, even at that, even if you're working and you have to check your emails often throughout the day, you will be more productive in the other things you are doing if you are not checking the emails and breaking your focus every time you have a come in. Like, you need to be able to be focused on the task that you're doing, and reading the email and switching tasks, having a task switching episode, that is not helpful. It is only distracting you from what you're doing, unless you're gonna drop everything.
Shit.
The doorbell rang. Does anyone else's dog go flying down the staircase and you're like, please nobody ring the doorbell? I'm scared my dog's gonna like break his leg or something. Fonzie, everything's fine. I forget what I was saying, but I think it was, unless you're going to completely stop what you're doing because you're waiting for an email, then I guess task switch. But it is only distracting you from what you're doing if you are going to check these different text, phone calls, social media platforms throughout the day whenever you want or whenever you get a notification, because then you're reacting to the notification rather than planning your day and having structure to your day so that you can be as focused as possible to be as productive as possible. Make sense? Step number 5 is scheduling time off. A lot of us, like I said before, have our phones by our bed, have our phones on the couch with us. We all work so much virtually now that we could be doing work on the couch when we're spending time with our loved ones or our kids or our partner. That is like an extra form of prolonged multitasking, and that just like keeps your brain going when your brain should be having time off in order to be really good during your monotasking times. Scheduling your time off, being more apt to putting your phone away and leaving it on the charger upstairs. Learning how to schedule time off and stick to that is really, really good for our brains. It is good for our energy. It is good to replenish and restore. It is a form of self-care, and we need to schedule that time in. This channel is often talking about self-care, self-love. You gotta schedule that in, because if you don't, you're probably not gonna do it very much. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't exist, in my opinion. Someone said that, I forget who, but I like to live by that. If it is not in my schedule, it probably will not happen. That is just the reality. If we don't set an intention to do something, it most probably will not happen, unless it happens by fluke. And who wants to live their life by fluke? Nobody, I don't think. I don't want to. I hope you learned something new in this video, because lately, I'll tell you a little quick story. Lately, I have been implementing monotasking, and it has been really, really insane for my productivity. I feel so good. I am getting better and better at leaving my phone. My previous video, which I'll link right here, I now go to bed without being on my phone before bed, and I don't look at my phone until the next morning. And I filmed my process of doing that for like 4 days, and it was really, really interesting. A little bit bumpy in the beginning. I plan to keep doing that, and that is another form of self-care. It is being intentional with your time and choosing when you will do things instead of reacting to things. When we wake up, we should be nourishing our body. We should be taking care of ourselves. We should be slowly waking up our bodies and our brains and our minds and our souls. We should not be just looking at TikTok and looking at our Instagram notifications. Like, what is this? We have gotten to a really, really intense, obsessive, addictive point in social media, which is just the way the world is going. So it's not any of our faults, but we need to kind of do some reprogramming, because it isn't really healthy, in my opinion. That's how I don't want to live my life that way. I also got these blue light glasses. I wear them as much as I can when I'm on the computer. I don't need glasses, so it feels a bit weird to wear, but I edit for a living, so I am on it all the time. So I really want to help my eyes. So that is it for today's video. I hope you learned something new and will try monotasking. Let me know in the comments how it goes for you. It is really, really awesome. And I'm looking forward to talking more about this and maybe doing another video on this topic another time. Do me a favor, if you have not liked this video yet, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.